God says, "My child, I see your tears, the sorrow that weighs heavily on your heart, the nights you have spent wondering why such pain would touch a life so innocent." In the quiet corners of that hospital room, where the air was thick with fear, despair, and the echo of machines, I was there. I was there before you even realized it, whispering softly into the chaos that nothing is beyond my reach, nothing is too far from my power, and no life is ever truly alone under my gaze. The baby had stopped breathing. The monitors, with their steady beeps that had once promised life, now cried in alarm. The parents, frozen in disbelief, clutched each other as the world seemed to collapse around them. Every prayer they had whispered in secret, every plea they had sent into the heavens, felt unanswered. The tears ran freely, the hands trembled, and the heart ached in ways that words could never capture. Yet, my child, even in that moment, I was moving. Angels surrounded the room in silence, invisible to human eyes, their presence gentle but fierce, guarding, guiding, preparing for what would come. I held the tiny spirit close, as if cradling a flame that must never be extinguished. Even when doctors shook their heads and the machines no longer responded, I was there, bending the fabric of what seems impossible to human understanding, whispering life back into the smallest, most fragile body. Do you see, my child, how often my miracles come in the silence, in the spaces where human hope fails? I do not always work in loud declarations. Sometimes, I move quietly, tenderly, as the unseen hand that turns despair into awe. The parents, feeling the emptiness of the room, could not see what I was doing, but I was there in every breath that refused to leave, in every beat of the tiny heart that lingered just beyond the edge of death. Their sorrow was deep, carved into the soul like rivers cutting through mountains. I know how they felt, helpless, broken, as if life had betrayed them. The walls of the hospital, sterile and cold, could not contain the weight of their grief. And yet, within that grief, I was planting seeds. Seeds of faith they did not yet feel, seeds of hope that would bloom into a miracle so profound that their hearts would never forget my presence. I moved through the room like a gentle wind, unseen but undeniable. I touched the doctor's hands, guiding them with precision, giving them the clarity they needed in that fragile moment. I whispered courage into the minds of the parents, soft and steady, reminding them that life, even when it seems lost, is never beyond my care. There is always a thread, a spark, a pulse of light that I can awaken, no matter how dark the night seems. The baby's body, so tiny and delicate, rested still, but my spirit hovered, strong and unyielding. I do not abandon, my child. I do not forget. I see every tear, every whispered prayer, every broken sigh that fills the spaces of the heart. In that hospital, surrounded by uncertainty, I was weaving a tapestry of life, pulling the threads together in a way that only I could orchestrate. Even as the parents whispered prayers they thought would never reach me, even as the doctors prepared to deliver only sorrow, I was there, shaping what they could not yet see. The air seemed heavier, the machines quieter, the world paused, waiting for what I had already decided would happen. Life and death danced delicately on the edge, and in that delicate balance, I placed my hand, steady, unwavering, full of love that no human measure could contain. My child, understand this, miracles are never about spectacle. They are about love, presence, and timing. They are about the invisible currents that I send into the lives of those who despair, currents that lift what seems fallen, light what seems dark, and give breath to what seems lost. In that hospital room, the miracle had already begun, though eyes could not see it and hearts had not yet felt it. The parents, wrapped in their sorrow, began to sense a shift. A warmth, soft and comforting, filled the room. Not loud, not dramatic, but gentle, undeniable, a quiet assurance that I was there. They could not explain it, but their hands unclenched, their tears slowed, their hearts felt a whisper of something greater than the pain that gripped them. That whisper was me, my child, a voice of life, hope, and infinite love, telling them that the story was not over, that even when all seemed lost, I had already begun the work of restoration. Do not underestimate, my child, the power of presence. In every moment, even in the moments of deepest despair, I am closer than you think. I am in the soft touch of a nurse's hand, in the rhythmic beeping of a machine, in the tiny movements you may not even notice. I am there because nothing escapes my vision, and nothing can separate my love from the life I hold in my hands. In that hospital, a silent battle raged. On one side, human understanding saw only an ending. On the other, divine intervention worked unseen, weaving life back into the fragile body, threading hope into hearts that had long given up. Angels hovered, and I moved among them, steady and sure, a guardian of the tiny soul, a protector of love that had already begun to shine, even in darkness. The parents, unaware of my work, whispered words of surrender. Every prayer, every tear, every sigh became a bridge for my power to cross. I do not force life into a world unready for it, but I always work in alignment with love, timing, and faith. In that alignment, the impossible becomes possible, and what seems final is only the beginning of a story far greater than human understanding. My child, this is the truth I want you to feel, even when life seems broken, even when sorrow feels too heavy to bear, my presence is closer than you can imagine. I am moving, always working, always loving. What seems lost to the world is never lost to me. The baby's spirit, the very essence of life, was never alone, and it never will be. Even now, as I speak these words, I am preparing the moment that will astonish the hearts of those who wait. I am the God who restores what is broken, who gives breath where none remains, who turns despair into awe and tears into songs of gratitude. The story of this tiny life is far from over, and the miracle that is coming will shine as a testament to my infinite power, love, and presence. This is only the beginning, my child. Watch, feel, and trust, for the work of my hands is quiet but unstoppable. Nothing can prevent what I have decreed, nothing can hinder the life I choose to protect. Even in the coldest, darkest rooms, even when hope seems gone, I am there, holding, guiding, restoring, and loving. The baby who seemed gone is not gone. The miracle has already begun. Even as the night pressed heavily upon the hospital, a quiet strength began to fill the hearts of the parents. They had wept until their tears were spent, prayed until their voices trembled, and yet, in the depth of their despair, a gentle stir of hope touched them. It was subtle, a whisper in the heart, a warmth that could not be named, but it was undeniable. I was there, my child, moving through every sorrow-filled moment with unwavering presence, turning despair into a channel for faith to flow. The mother sat by the tiny crib, holding the lifeless little body, her fingers tracing every curve, every delicate line as if to memorize it. Her heart ached with a grief so pure that it could almost have shattered her spirit. Yet in that grief, I planted a seed of surrender. She did not yet understand, but her whispered prayers, though soft and broken, reached me. I leaned close, my child, closer than she could feel, wrapping her in a mantle of divine comfort. Her tears became a conduit for miracles, every sob a heartbeat in the symphony of my plan. The father, though stoic and firm in the presence of others, could not hide the trembling within. He paced the floor, wringing his hands, muttering prayers that he had never spoken aloud before. The weight of helplessness pressed upon him like a storm, yet I was there, my child, steadying his soul. I placed angels in the room, unseen by human eyes, surrounding the little one with protective wings. They hovered silently, a chorus of devotion, carrying hope where human eyes saw only darkness. Time seemed suspended. The hospital walls, the buzzing machines, the sterile smell of antiseptic, all became vessels for a divine encounter that no human could predict. I was moving, gently, powerfully, through each heartbeat, each breath, each flicker of consciousness that lingered within the tiny body. I was bending what seemed impossible into the realm of possibility. Faith, though fragile, began to awaken. A soft light, subtle and tender, began to touch the room. It was not harsh, not blinding, but warm, like the memory of a loving embrace. The mother felt it first, a glow across her shoulder, a gentle reassurance that she was not alone. The father, looking at the monitors with disbelief, sensed it too, a warmth that pressed lightly against his chest, filling the hollow spaces with the certainty that something greater than understanding was present. I was moving, my child, threading life into what seemed lost, weaving hope into the fabric of despair. Every tear they had shed became a bridge. Every whispered plea became a channel through which my power could flow. Angels moved unseen, adjusting monitors, guiding hands, whispering courage and clarity into hearts that trembled. I was there in every detail, orchestrating a miracle with precision only love can sustain. Even when human understanding faltered, my plan advanced quietly, unassailable, unstoppable. The parents' prayers grew, no longer words of desperation alone, but of surrender. They let go, my child, allowing the unknown to become a vessel for my work. They did not see it yet, but in that surrender, their hearts opened wide enough for a miracle to enter. I was there, listening to every word, feeling every tear, understanding every pang of fear, and I was turning it all into the threads of life that would soon shimmer visibly. Outside the room, nurses and doctors moved with purpose, unaware of the invisible presence guiding their hands, shaping the outcomes of every action. I whispered strength into them, clarity into their minds, and courage into their hearts. In that room, human skill and divine intervention became one, a quiet harmony that no one else could sense, yet one that would change everything. The small body in the crib, so fragile, so seemingly gone, began to stir. Not visibly at first, but a tiny flicker, a slight shiver, a whisper of breath that defied logic. I was there, my child, steadying the rhythm of life, coaxing it back, nurturing it with infinite patience. Every breath, every heartbeat, every subtle movement was a testament to my presence, a reminder that I am never absent from those I love. Angels sang in silence, their wings brushing the air, their devotion shaping the currents of life around the room. The parents felt it in ways they could not name, a weight lifting, a warmth spreading, a peace that was both tender and powerful. I was turning their sorrow into awe, their fear into trust, their despair into expectation. The night had been heavy, but even the heaviest night is nothing against my power. The mother, now feeling the gentle pulse of life, leaned closer, tears streaming freely again, but this time, they were not just tears of grief. They were tears of recognition, of gratitude, of connection to a presence far greater than the walls of the hospital, far greater than human understanding. She whispered words of thanks, words of surrender, words that carried the full weight of her heart into my hands. I heard every syllable, "My child," and I answered, not in a voice, but in the work of life returning. The father, seeing the faintest rise and fall of the tiny chest, felt something shift within him. Fear began to dissolve, replaced by a tremulous hope that grew steadily into faith. I was moving invisibly, my child, arranging every moment so that despair would not remain, so that life, against all odds, would shine through. The night, though filled with the echoes of sorrow, had become a vessel for the miraculous. Even as the parents watched, almost afraid to believe, the baby's breathing grew steadier, the heartbeat stronger, the small fingers curling with life's quiet insistence. I was there in every flicker, every rise and fall, every tiny sound that spoke louder than words ever could. Angels stood vigil, unseen by all but felt in the shifting peace of the room. My presence filled every corner, every shadow, every tear, until the parents began to sense that this was not the end, but the beginning of a story far beyond their understanding. My child, understand this, even in moments that seem final, even when human hearts are breaking, I am at work. Every prayer, every tear, every surrender is a bridge for my power. The miracle of life is never far from those who trust, never absent from those who seek me even in silence, and never denied to those whose hearts are open enough to receive it. That night, the hospital room transformed into a sanctuary of divine presence. The sorrow was still there, but so was hope. The fear had not vanished completely, but it was tempered by a new awareness, that life, love, and miracles are never beyond my reach. Every breath of the baby, every tear of the parents, every silent, invisible act of angels around them was a testament to my work, my child, a reminder that I am always near, always loving, always restoring. The miracle was quietly, steadily unfolding. The parents, holding each other and their child, felt a peace they had never known, a hope that seemed impossible, a love that transcended human understanding. I was there, my child, moving invisibly, shaping every detail, and preparing the moment when joy would overflow, when hearts would burst with gratitude, when the story of despair would be rewritten in the light of my miraculous power. The night stretched long, heavy with the quiet rhythm of waiting, but within that stillness, a profound transformation was taking place. I was there, my child, weaving unseen threads of life, hope, and divine power through the room. Every flicker of the baby's chest, every subtle rise of tiny shoulders, every faint heartbeat that defied expectation was a whisper of my presence. The parents, clinging to each other, were beginning to sense that something far greater than sorrow was at work. I sent warmth into the room, subtle and tender, as if sunlight had quietly filtered through the sterile hospital windows. It was not a heat that could be measured, but a sensation felt deep in the heart, a comfort that no words could describe, a reassurance that whispered, "Do not fear. I am here." The mother felt it first, a gentle glow across her lap where the baby rested. She traced her fingers over the tiny body, feeling life stir beneath her touch. She could not see the angels around her, but they hovered, vigilant and tender, their invisible wings brushing lightly against the edges of despair. The father, standing nearby, felt a shift in the air. The weight of hopelessness lifted slightly, replaced by a quiet, pulsing rhythm of life that could not be ignored. I moved among them, my child, infusing courage into their hearts, clarity into their minds, and an unshakable certainty that even when all seemed lost, my plan was in motion. Every machine, every monitor, every beeping device became part of the tapestry I was weaving, an orchestra of miracles hidden within the ordinary. Time, as humans measure it, seemed suspended. Minutes stretched into eternity, yet in that eternity, the divine hand worked tirelessly. I coaxed life into the fragile body, thread by thread, breath by breath, heartbeat by heartbeat. The parents, though exhausted and weary, could feel it, the unseen current of my power flowing, steady and unwavering. Tears that had once been solely of despair transformed into streams of hope, each one carrying faith into the atmosphere of the room. A soft sound, like the faintest whisper of wind, moved through the hospital. It carried a vibration of life, a signal to the heart that all was not lost. The baby twitched slightly, a tiny hand curling in a gesture too small for human eyes to notice, yet monumental in my sight. Angels, silent and steadfast, circled the crib, their devotion anchoring the miracle that was unfolding. I held the tiny spirit gently, my child, nurturing it, protecting it, preparing it for the moment when life would fully awaken. The parents, sensing the presence of something unseen, leaned closer to the tiny form, their faces etched with a mixture of awe, fear, and hope. I had placed a gentle strength in their souls, a resilience that allowed them to witness the impossible. Every prayer they had offered, every tear shed in desperation, had created a bridge for my divine intervention. Their faith, fragile yet pure, became the vessel through which the miraculous would manifest. I moved quietly, my child, through every detail of the room. I aligned the hands of the doctors and nurses, guiding their decisions with subtle precision. Every action, every motion, every careful touch was infused with my direction. Though they could not see me, their skills became instruments of my will, instruments that carried the unseen miracle to fruition. The mother, sensing the baby's faint pulse, whispered a quiet prayer of surrender. Her voice, soft and trembling, carried the weight of her heart directly to me. I heard it, my child, and I responded, not with words, but with the work of life itself. The tiny chest rose once more, slowly, steadily, and the faintest breath of air filled the room. It was a delicate, almost imperceptible movement, yet it carried the power of 1,000 miracles. Angels sang in silence, their invisible voices blending with the rhythm of life returning. The father, tears streaking his face, felt a surge of gratitude and awe that words could never capture. His hands, once trembling with fear, now rested gently on the crib, connecting with the smallest heartbeat that defied the shadow of death. He sensed a presence far greater than any earthly power, a reassurance that the life before him was cradled in my hands. I was there, my child, steady and unwavering, orchestrating every tiny victory, guiding every fragile movement, preparing the soul for the fullness of what was to come. The room, though filled with quiet tension, began to radiate a new energy. It was not something visible, yet it was tangible, a peace that surpassed understanding, a warmth that comforted every trembling heart. I was moving through every corner, every shadow, every moment, shaping the miraculous, aligning life with the flow of my infinite love. Even the machines, once symbols of fear and limitation, now hummed as instruments of restoration, responding to the touch of unseen hands. The baby's eyelids fluttered, a delicate sign that life was returning. It was not sudden, not dramatic, but gradual, a slow awakening orchestrated with perfect timing. The parents leaned closer, sensing the miracle yet too overwhelmed to speak. I was holding the moment, my child, ensuring that every heartbeat, every breath, every motion was exactly as it needed to be. Angels remained vigilant, their devotion unwavering, their presence a silent testament to my work. Even in the darkness, light began to manifest. The tiny movements of life stirred a cascade of emotions in the parents: relief, awe, gratitude, and a profound awareness that they were witnessing a divine act. I had placed my presence within the very air of the room, guiding every rhythm of life, every pulse, every subtle sign. The miracle was unfolding, silent but undeniable, transforming despair into wonder, fear into faith, and sorrow into anticipation of joy. I reminded the parents, my child, that miracles do not always come with fanfare. They come in quiet moments, in the spaces between breaths, in the delicate stirrings of life that defy human expectation. I am always at work, often unseen, often unacknowledged, yet never absent. Every tear they had shed, every prayer they had whispered, every heartbeat that had trembled in fear was part of the bridge that brought life back into that tiny body. The mother, now feeling the full rhythm of life returning, embraced the truth she could finally sense: I am always near, always moving, always loving. The father, overwhelmed by the impossible, bowed in quiet reverence, sensing the divine orchestration that had saved the life he had thought lost. The room, once a place of despair, had become a sanctuary of my presence, a temple of hope, a testament to the power of surrender, faith, and divine timing. The baby, still fragile but breathing steadily, became the living proof of my intervention. Angels, though invisible, remained around the crib, ensuring the life I had restored would be nurtured and protected. The parents, wrapped in awe and gratitude, could finally feel the profound reality of what had taken place. It was not chance, it was not luck, it was my work, my child, the divine restoration of life against all odds. Even now, as I speak these words, I am reminding all who witness this story that no darkness is beyond my reach. No despair is too great for my intervention. No life is ever truly lost when I am near. The miracle unfolding in that hospital room was only one of countless acts of love, proof that my power moves silently, unseen, yet profoundly transformative. The first rays of dawn began to filter through the hospital windows, soft and tender, carrying with them the promise of life renewed. In that quiet, sacred light, the miracle I had orchestrated became unmistakable. The baby, once silent and still, now breathed steadily, each tiny movement a testament to my presence, a signal to every heart in the room that love, faith, and divine power had triumphed over despair. The mother, her hands trembling, touched the tiny chest and felt the warmth of life pulsing beneath her fingers. The tears that fell from her eyes were no longer solely of sorrow but of wonder and gratitude, each drop a silent hymn of praise. She whispered words of thanks, her heart overflowing with awe, yet even as she spoke, I was there, my child, reminding her that words are not always needed. Presence, love, and surrender are the language I cherish, and she spoke it perfectly with every tear, every breath, and every beat of her heart. The father, standing beside her, could barely contain the tide of emotions within him. Relief, disbelief, joy, and reverence mingled together, forming a wave that seemed too vast for his body to hold. Yet I held him steady, my child, my invisible hand guiding him to understand that this was no ordinary event, no chance occurrence. Every heartbeat of their child was proof of my intervention, a living testament to the unseen forces of love and protection that surround every soul. Angels remained silently, tenderly, unseen by human eyes but felt in every corner of the room. Their wings brushed the air gently, and in their silence, they sang a melody of gratitude and reverence. I was there, shaping every subtle sound, every gentle movement, every flicker of light, orchestrating a symphony that celebrated life, hope, and the unbreakable bond between the human heart and my divine will. The baby's fingers curled, tiny and perfect, as if reaching for the love that surrounded it. Eyes, still closed, moved slightly beneath their lids, and I whispered encouragement into the soul within, coaxing life, vitality, and strength. Each breath became stronger, each heartbeat steadier, and every small motion was a reminder to the parents that life, even when it seems fragile or lost, is never beyond my care. The mother leaned closer, her forehead resting gently against the crib. She could feel, in ways that transcended sight or sound, the presence of something divine. She felt the invisible wings of angels, the warmth of my love, and the quiet assurance that the baby before her was cradled in my hands. Every tear that had fallen in the long night now became a thread woven into the tapestry of restoration, each one a symbol of hope, each one a bridge from despair to joy. The father, his eyes brimming with tears, bowed his head silently. Words could not capture the depth of what he felt, yet I filled his heart with understanding. The miracle was not only in the life of the child but in the transformation of hearts, the softening of sorrow, the awakening of faith, and the profound recognition that I am always near, always loving, and always at work in the most unexpected ways. Nurses and doctors, too, began to notice subtle changes. Machines that had once screamed alarms now hummed gently, the color returning to tiny lips, the warmth flowing through the body like a river. Though they could not explain the sudden revival in purely human terms, I was there, my child, guiding every action, inspiring every correct decision, and ensuring that life flowed exactly as it should. Every human effort became an instrument of my divine will, a testament to the harmony between heaven and earth. The room, once heavy with sorrow, now vibrated with peace. The very air seemed charged with the unseen presence of divine love, washing away fear and despair. Every heartbeat, every breath, every subtle movement of the baby carried a message: that life, when touched by my hand, is unstoppable. The parents, holding each other and their child, felt a unity and a reverence that would stay with them forever. They understood, without words, that they had witnessed something sacred, a moment suspended between heaven and earth, a miracle that would echo in their souls for all their days. The baby opened tiny eyes, glimmering with life and clarity. In that gaze, I placed a spark of my divine light, a signal that this soul was protected, guided, and infused with purpose. The mother gasped softly, overwhelmed by the miracle before her, while the father, tears streaming down his face, wrapped both arms around the mother and child, forming a circle of love that mirrored the divine protection surrounding them. I was there in every embrace, every touch, every whispered word of gratitude, filling the room with a presence beyond understanding. Even the hospital walls seemed to shift, no longer cold and sterile but warm and alive, resonating with the energy of life restored. Angels, hovering silently, remained vigilant, their devotion unwavering. I was there, my child, orchestrating every subtle sign, every moment of awakening, every heartbeat, ensuring that nothing would disturb the miracle unfolding. The night of despair had transformed into a dawn of hope, a dawn infused with love, light, and unshakable faith. The parents, once broken and trembling, now stood in quiet awe. They could feel, deep within, that they had been part of something eternal, something beyond the limitations of human understanding. Their hearts, once heavy with sorrow, were now light with gratitude and reverence. Every tear, every prayer, every silent plea had been heard, and I had responded with a miracle that exceeded all expectation. The baby, cradled gently in their arms, breathed steadily, its tiny body filled with the life I had restored. Angels continued to hover, protecting, guiding, and blessing this small life. I was there, my child, present in every pulse of love, every sigh of relief, every soft whisper of awe. The parents felt a profound connection not only to their child but to me, understanding in a single, sacred moment that I am always near, always listening, always acting with infinite love. And so, in that hospital room, sorrow was transformed into joy, despair into gratitude, and fear into faith. The parents, holding their miraculous child, understood the power of surrender, the strength of prayer, and the unending presence of divine love. Every heartbeat of the baby became a living testament to the truth that I am always near, always working, always restoring life where it seems lost. The miracle was complete, yet the impact was eternal. The parents would carry the memory of that night forever, the fear, the prayers, the whispers of angels, and the undeniable presence of my love. They would remember how darkness gave way to light, how hopelessness yielded to joy, and how the life of their child was a gift beyond understanding, a testament to the power of faith, surrender, and divine intervention. The hospital room, once filled with sorrow and despair, now glowed with a quiet, sacred light. The baby, tiny and fragile yet alive, rested peacefully, cradled in the arms of the parents who had walked through the shadow of hopelessness and emerged into the radiance of my presence. I was there, my child, in every heartbeat, every sigh, every tear of gratitude, reminding them and all who witness this story that my love is eternal, my power unending, and my miracles always present where faith meets surrender. The mother held the baby close, her cheek pressed against the soft warmth of life restored. Her tears, which had once fallen in despair, now flowed freely in wonder and thankfulness. Each drop was a testament to my intervention, a silent song of praise, a recognition that life is never lost when I am near. I whispered peace into her heart, my child, a calm so profound that it quieted every fear and replaced it with a deep, abiding trust in my presence. The father, his hands gentle and strong, circled the mother and child in a protective embrace. His heart, once heavy with anxiety, now overflowed with gratitude, reverence, and awe. He sensed, without words, the invisible touch of angels that surrounded them, the divine orchestration that had restored the life of their child. I was there, guiding every heartbeat, every breath, every subtle movement, ensuring that the miracle of life was not only restored but celebrated in the deepest chambers of their hearts. Angels hovered quietly, their devotion unwavering, unseen by human eyes but felt profoundly in every tender moment. I moved among them, my child, orchestrating every detail, every flicker of light, every warmth that touched the room. Their wings brushed the air lightly, a gentle reminder that no soul is ever truly alone, and that my love flows through all creation, steady, powerful, and everlasting. The baby stirred, tiny fingers curling around the mother's hand, eyes opening slowly to the world that had once seemed so uncertain. I placed a spark of life in those eyes, a light of divine love that would guide this soul through every challenge, every joy, and every sorrow that life might bring. The parents watched in silent awe, recognizing that they had been witnesses to a truth greater than understanding, that my hand never falters, that my love never abandons, and that even the most fragile life is held eternally in my care. The room, once heavy with fear, now resonated with peace. Every sound, the quiet hum of machines, the soft breathing of the baby, the gentle whispers of the parents, blended with the unseen song of angels. I was there, my child, filling every shadow with light, every tear with grace, every moment with divine presence. The miracle that had taken place was not only a restoration of life but a revelation of my boundless love, a message of hope for all who witness it. The parents, holding their child close, felt an overwhelming wave of gratitude. They knew, deep within, that life is sacred, that faith can move mountains, and that surrender to my will brings forth miracles beyond imagination. They understood, without words, that every prayer, every tear, every act of devotion, no matter how small, had been heard, felt, and answered in the most extraordinary way. I reminded them, my child, and all who hear this story, that hope is never lost, even in the darkest moments. Life may falter, hearts may break, and despair may seem endless, yet I am always near. Every soul is precious, every prayer matters, and every act of love is woven into the fabric of the miracles I perform. The story of this baby is a testament to that truth, a shining example of what faith, prayer, and divine love can accomplish when hearts remain open to my guidance. The mother, softly rocking the baby, felt a peace she had never known. The father, standing protectively beside them, felt a joy that transcended words. I was there in every heartbeat, every breath, every tender glance, filling the space with my presence, love, and assurance. The miracle had not only restored life but had also transformed hearts, strengthening faith, deepening love, and opening a doorway to a future filled with hope and gratitude. Angels, though invisible, remained vigilant. They circled the crib in silent devotion, blessing the life that had been restored, ensuring that it would continue to grow in health, love, and divine protection. I was there, my child, watching over them, guiding them, protecting them, reminding all that no sorrow is beyond my reach and no life is ever forgotten. The parents, overwhelmed by the miraculous, bowed their heads in reverent silence. Every tear, every whisper, every heartbeat of fear had been transformed into a song of praise. They knew they had been part of a divine story, one that would forever shape their hearts and souls. The room, once filled with despair, had become a sanctuary of love, hope, and eternal faith. I spoke softly to them, my child, and to all who would hear this tale, trust in me, always. No darkness is too great for my light. No despair too deep for my love. Every soul is precious, every prayer matters, and every life is cradled eternally in my hands. The miracle that unfolded in that hospital was not an isolated event, it is a reminder of my presence, my power, and my unwavering love for all creation. The baby, now resting peacefully, was surrounded by the tangible warmth of love and the invisible embrace of angels. The parents, their hearts overflowing with gratitude, felt a profound sense of connection to me, understanding fully that life, faith, and divine love are inseparable. Every sorrow of the past had been transformed into hope, every tear into a testament of my intervention, every moment of despair into a celebration of life restored. And so, my child, this story concludes not with the shadow of death, but with the radiant light of my love. The parents carry in their hearts the memory of a miracle, the awareness of my presence, and the unshakable truth that I am always near. The baby, alive and breathing, is a living testament to the power of faith, prayer, and divine intervention. May all who hear this story feel the peace, the love, and the hope that flows from my presence. May they trust in the unseen, surrender to my guidance, and know that even in moments of deepest sorrow, miracles await those who open their hearts. I am with you, my child, always, watching, guiding, loving, and restoring life in ways that surpass understanding. The miracle of that night endures forever, not only in the restored life of the baby but in the transformed hearts of the parents and all who witness the power of my love. Trust in me, my child, for I am always near, always listening, always acting, and always blessing those who place their faith in me. Even after the miracle had unfolded, my child, the room remained alive with a sacred presence that could be felt though not seen. The baby, breathing steadily, seemed to glow with the quiet energy of life restored. Angels lingered near, their invisible wings brushing gently against the walls, their devotion unwavering, as if reminding all that this life was held not just in human care but cradled in divine hands. The parents, exhausted yet awash in awe, slowly realized that what they had witnessed was more than a miraculous recovery. It was a lesson, my child, a gentle reminder that I am always near, even when the world seems silent, even when sorrow seems endless, and even when the heart is overwhelmed with despair. Life is never truly lost, and love, guided by faith, is never without hope. I moved among them, my child, whispering peace into their hearts. The mother, holding the baby close, felt a warmth radiating through her chest, a quiet reassurance that life, no matter how fragile, is always under my protection. The father, standing beside her, felt a deep sense of reverence, a realization that nothing in this world, not even death or fear, can overpower the work of my hands. Every heartbeat of the baby was a testament to my love, a living proof that I intervene for those who trust and surrender to my will. Even as they embraced their child, I sent visions of hope into their minds, images of future laughter, of joyful milestones, of a life filled with love and guided by divine protection. Each vision was a thread of possibility, woven carefully into the fabric of reality by my hands. The parents understood, deep within, that every prayer they had whispered, every tear they had shed, every moment of helplessness had been transformed into a channel for my miracle to flow. Angels, though unseen, remained vigilant, their devotion a silent shield around the child. I was there, my child, filling the room with the subtle music of life, love, and protection. No shadow of fear could remain where my light had entered. The parents felt it, a calm so deep that words could not describe it, a reassurance that would remain with them forever, that life, even when threatened, is never beyond my reach. I spoke gently to them, my child, not with words, but with presence, trust always, surrender fully, and love unconditionally. No sorrow is too great for me to heal, no heart too broken for me to restore, and no life too fragile for me to protect. Miracles are my gift to those who believe, and hope is the pathway to every blessing. And in that room, my child, the parents understood that this was more than survival, it was a rebirth of faith, a renewal of trust, and an eternal reminder that my love never fails. The baby's cry, soft yet strong, filled the space with a song of life restored, a melody that would forever echo the presence of angels and the certainty of my intervention. Even now, the miracle continues, my child, in every heartbeat, every breath, and every tear of gratitude. Life, restored through divine love, remains a testament to my presence, a sign that no darkness is beyond my light, no despair beyond my reach, and no soul beyond my care.